Yeah, this topic is getting me into the earthly mood a lot. This whole archetype, Mercury, Virgo, and the sixth house. They belong to the earth element. Now, this is the archetype before last that we're talking about. We only have Libra left from all the signs of the zodiac that we have been talking about those weeks before, and that's one of my favorite topics so far because I have so much going on around this archetype. My whole chart is pretty much packed in the sixth house, and so much is going on there. So I have been observing it as I was going back to lots of information for today. And I rediscovered many things for myself. I hope you would learn something new about this as well. And I want to start with Mercury. So I've coded, I think the windows are actually blocking the view a bit. Let me see how I can. Sorry, guys, I just want to make sure everything is fine for the recording. Okay, right. So Mercury, I call it the analytical mind in this case, as this is a very different expression of Mercury, even though a lot of it overlaps with what we have been talking about in Gemini. It's not just the planet of information, communication, and intellect, but here, the greatest distinction I think we need to make is that in this case, in Virgo, the intellect wants to serve a purpose. All the exercises it gets involved in, all the research it does, or the communication it also makes, this is directed to something. So it needs to work in order to produce a result that is tangible, that is visible. So we have the analytical mind here. Mercury, Hermes, as a maybe as a tradesperson, maybe as a messenger as well as in Gemini, but it's mostly the intellect, which is now concentrating on how to improve the environment, the physical environment, because it is Earth that we are talking about today, not air. It's not that much the realm of ideas as the transition of ideas into practice. So the most important thing that Mercury performs as a function with Virgo is discrimination, I think. That's why that's my first keyword on the list. There are so many keywords. We can inevitably miss so many things here. I'm just pointing out a few things, but there is, of course, so much more. Why discrimination? Is it's a very selective mind in Virgo, where we need to not just process a lot in order to use it as our tool, as we do in Gemini, to become stronger personally with what we know, with what we are able to express as, say, language skills or way of working with data, sorting data, and analyzing things for our own use or our own enjoyment. Here we need to select and to, out of the sea of everything that comes our way, Mercury in Virgo decides what is worth it to keep and what needs to be discarded. And here it echoes Virgo quite a lot in this constant discrimination between, and discrimination is in the sense of the word of selection, because this word has many different meanings. But here I mean selection of the important bits from the not so important bits. What is worth it delegating our efforts to, and what can be put aside. And that's to do with everything in life, with the people we get mixed up with the jobs we do, with the kinds of knowledge that we want to allow to come into our field. And when we have discriminated and used the intellect for that purpose, this has to then be applied to something, an applied learned skill that is then directed to making better the situation that we have been witnessing or have been involved in. So the material world, the physical reality has to be somehow improved through the mind and through what we are able to deliver as a service with our understanding of things. And it's also the investigative mind, the researcher, the one that would go deep as much as possible to find the clues and find the hidden links between things in a pool of information, so that it can again make that conclusion of how to discriminate and how to select. So it's just a few things. I know there is more. Feel free to add more later on when we start talking. But then I would move on, because I don't want this to be very long. Move on to the sign Virgo itself, and my main concentration here. By the way, that's I think a beautiful image. I encourage you to take a look at this painter. It's a Dutch painter. The name is at the bottom, and he's got a whole series of paintings like that. It's called the Zodiac series. They're all fascinating. They're all very beautiful and very rich in their symbology about the actual archetype that he's portraying. It's not just astrology. He does a lot of mythology as well, and many, many interesting things. But you can see here Virgo the Virgin with this beautiful Mercury, Hermes, the god of the messenger god, on top. And look around, you can see the glyph of Virgo, and so many things that we can trace to the symbol of transformation which happens in Virgo. I call this from energy to substance. Why? Because I think something that gets missed very much when we talk about those general keywords of Virgo, and what we can normally read in textbooks and everywhere. But this thing is missing, that there is this direct link between Leo and Virgo. And that's best represented in the figure of the Sphinx, which is half lion and half virgin. So the virgin head is the top of it, and the bottom is the back of it is the lion part. So there is a process of transition between Leo and Virgo is a midpoint of some kind. It is a transitional sign, a crisis sign, which is some sort of a reaction to the energy expenditure and all the creativity and enthusiasm that we were seeing in Leo. So that eventually exhausts itself. It comes to an end. We get tired, or we get depleted, or maybe we don't get the recognition that we have wanted in Leo. But sooner or later, there is a limit which is reached with Leo, with the Leo expression. And that fiery energy, that creative spark, will need to be toned down, cooled down a bit. That's what Virgo does, and turned into something useful and also something substantial. So these are keywords for Earth all along, creating substance from spirit. I know sounds maybe a little bit too metaphysical and not very practical, but a lot of what Virgo is about, I think, is very far from, or at least the root of it is very far from those everyday, very laborious tasks, or not very interesting tasks that we are so used to connecting Virgo with. It is a deep transformational energy on a very personal level. It's the last personal sign, the last one underneath the horizon, and after it we begin that part of the zodiac which is connected more with other people, with community life. But underneath the horizon, we've got mostly ourselves, concerned with ourselves, and how we can grow, how we can develop, how we can better ourselves and learn and be somehow more resistant to outside influences and more contained into ourselves. So this is the point where we meet that personal crisis of transition between being alone or being reliant just on our own, all sorts of energies, which start from Aries and end with Virgo, and now repolarizing in a way, and realizing that the time has come to look around and make some revision of what has happened so far and what could be improved and how it could be improved, because there is this nagging feeling that something is not working, that something is just lacking in our performance or in who we are. And here comes this feeling of inadequacy that very often Virgo suffers from. The limitation and the ongoing depression after that we may come into if we have a lot of Virgo in the chart or lots of sixth house, for example. There are other options that can bring the same effect as well. You'll see later what I have in mind. But I've thought about two ways of how we can and how we're meant to maybe overcome this and work with Virgo. So one revolves around learning something, getting a skill, a technique, learning how to do things in the right way so they are efficiently done. So kind of work smart rather than hard attitude. And through this, we can step forward into the process and improve the situation. The other way is to do with some sort of emotional change inside us, adopting a different attitude towards those things that didn't work out very well, or we feel like they didn't work out very well, and trying to discard any resentment or any discouragement that we may be feeling through transmuting it into another realm and another way of looking in things which is more inclusive. What do I mean by that? Not being concentrated so much on our own tragedies, problems, and whatever is not we're not happy about in our lives. So kind of going from the ego-centered Leo towards opening up to the fact that we are just one small part of something much bigger than ourselves. And that's what this emotional readjustment is meant to make us realize. And then have this freedom of then going on and just working on things slowly and surely. So these two things actually have been pointed to again by Dane Roger. There is a very good, interesting, I call it article, but it's actually part of his book, The Pulse of Life. I'm sure most of you know that book. And I have been going back to this text. This is where most of this is coming from. I urge you to see that. It's free online on Codia. So just type Pulse of Life and Virgo, and you would see it's a short article for that archetype, which really sheds a light on what this really means deeply and not superficially as we're normally seeing. For me personally, that helped a lot to rethink a lot of things that I'm trying to figure out in my chart. So these 2 points, learning and technique and emotional readjustment, I think they can be connected to 2 other symbols in astrology that are not used by every astrologer. They are newer symbols to asteroids. Maybe you know Demeter George's work, Asteroid Goddesses. I will switch quickly to the cover just to show you that book, in case you don't know it. So here she goes through 4 different faces of the feminine archetype expressed through these 4 goddesses. So today I wanted to connect Virgo with 2 of them. As it seems to me that 2 of them have a lot to do with this sign, not entirely, because with the asteroid goddesses, it's a mixture between many different feminine energies. Some of them come from Venus as Taurus, others from Venus as Libra. There are other influences there, like Cancer, for example, in some of them. But when we talk about Virgo, the 2 goddesses, first one, Vesta, and then I'll talk about Ceres as well. They can also be connected to the Virgo archetype directly, as I see them as a sub-expression to Virgo. You see how in one archetype we have so many different themes and so many different topics that if we just list them as a list, we may feel like they're a bit contradicting each other. But when we look at the different facets of them separately like this, we start to see that actually there is a lot in common between why they were all bunched up under the same symbol. So Vesta is the Virgin goddess, the goddess of the hearth. And it's very interesting. If I won't go into the mythology or anything like that, because you're free to go in your own time if you're interested and explore in Demeter George's book. There are probably other sources as well. But what's the essence here? We have that side of Virgo, and when they're represented in paintings and in symbols, they're very, very similar. the Virgin Virgo and the Virgin goddess Vesta. She's also known by the name Hestia, so you can research it this way as well. I concentrated on the essence of purity. What is purity about? It's definitely not about virginity the way we know it, but it's about being uh, exactly and only what one is. So purely and simply devoid of anything, any influences or any substances, let's say, or whatever, that is not part of our true individuality or true being. So being pure in this sense of Vesta is being a recipient channel or recipient vessel for something of a higher mode that you can express in your life, which is, let's say, the essence of your birth chart as a whole. Any residue, any thing that is, say, a childhood complex or something that we're having as a feeling of inadequacy in our early life or later, doesn't matter. Any frustrations, complexes, those things that I already mentioned in the beginning that Virgo is trying to overcome. Here with Vesta, we have the chance to actually channel this through isolation from time to time, to moments being alone, being separate, so that we can feel and sense what our inner reality is really about. The symbology of Vesta, to me, has a lot to do with building a rich inner life, and then allowing that inner life to sustain all the crises and all the troubles that we need to go through in our life, and feeding into that so that we are a little bit more resistant to anything that may break us down emotionally. And if we're able to be just this pure and simple and only what we are, then maybe the potentials locked in the chart can be activated a lot more straightforwardly, quickly, so we don't have to learn that much technique and that much, repetitive exercise of something so that we get good in it. But presumably we can tap into what we're able to do more directly through that. And another big topic of Vesta is devotion and discipleship. So eventually finding something that we can, it's not about, blindly refusing any pleasure in life or anything like that, that we may connect the Virgin Goddess with. The idea, I believe, here is to be able to hold on when we have an idea, when we have a principle, some sort of integrity for a person, for a job, for some sort of cause that we're interested in. And the moment we have become clear to ourselves that we want to work for that, to have the discipline and the resistance over time to devote ourselves to it and follow it. Also, there is this idea of being, building humility, which is so connected to Virgo, and allowing ourselves to learn from others that know better how to apply something. It's the path of discipleship is also the path of being the student of someone or becoming the teacher. So we have a lot of teams teaching, studying, lineage, giving forward knowledge that we have accumulated, or any sort of wisdom. And the ultimate goal of Vesta is overcoming instinct in order to build wisdom. And then the other one, there are so many other things, but I wanted to also touch on Ceres, the other asteroid, which I noticed if they're very prominent in the chart, if you have them close to angles, or if they conjunct or square or something, some of the main planets in your chart, you can see that Virgo experiences come along, and you can identify with this energy, even if you don't have a single planet in Virgo, or even if you don't have anything going on in the 6th house. So maybe worth checking that out if you haven't already. Where is your Ceres? Where is your Vesta? And see how this can play out into the other areas of your life. This is the fertility goddess, Ceres, also called Demeter. And I used the tarot Empress here, as it displays it so well. I think this is really her, Demeter here, the god of fertility, of motherhood. A lot of things connected here are not really Virgo. Virgo is probably the second most important archetype after Taurus and Cancer, because there is so much, nourishment, mother care involved here, harvesting and so on. But this side of Virgo that we connect with sowing and then reaping fruit. How we invest in something, let's say a skill, we start learning something, or we start doing a manual job, or anything that will then bear fruit is under this symbology. And we can then become more self-reliant, to nourish ourselves, to be revitalized with the fruits of our own labor. And those fruits can also nourish other people. Most importantly, Virgo is a service-oriented energy. And it's the whole polarity, Virgo and Pisces. But the way Virgo, and in this respect, Ceres, gives out something to the world is to something practical, something material. And this is very much also in line with the Taurus side, the other earth side of Ceres, which is to do with fertility, with nourishment in terms of food management, our habits of what we feed ourselves with, what kind of dietary habits we have, how we care of the body. All the topics related to body spirit balance are under this as well. So yeah, I think a lot to explore in that respect. And Ceres is also I have it prominent in my chart, and I have seen how it plays out and how this really affects your attitude towards how easy it is for you to attune to your natural body rhythm, when you need to go to sleep, how many hours of sleep you need, and that refers back to Virgo as routine and as everyday habits and lifestyle choices. Then switching down to the sixth house, that's actually my final slide. Now, the houses, as I mentioned last time, I think it's very important to remember, to remind ourselves often, is that they are to do more with the circumstances, with what actually happens, the areas of life where we act, where we experience the energy. It's not the energy itself. The energy itself is more channeled through the sign and through the planet ruler. But here, I was asking myself the question, what kind of things we can do and what kind of things we have to do in order to express our different planets or energies in the sixth house. So that's the last house underneath the horizon. It makes this transition towards Libra. So after the sixth house, which I imagine as some sort of a vessel, as a cauldron, or chemical, a chemical vessel where we cook something in the sixth house. Yes, it is very painful. It is critical. Usually it's about some sort of personal transformation in crisis and going through periods of depression or feeling of inadequacy. This is the actual experience that I was talking about in the beginning. But the meaning of that is to transition from being isolated and from trying to work and act alone towards joining hands with other people within Libra and being open to giving without expecting anything in return. So a lot of what this house requires, I think, is this service that is, well, I'm not suggesting we need to work for free in the sixth house, but this service that we give needs to have an element of vocation to it, an element of chosen path, which helps us realize who we are and is not just giving our labor to someone, like almost like we are a slave of someone, but it's a purposeful service, something that's meant to improve other people's lives in a way, but it's also meant to help us grow as people and get us from that level of self-centeredness to participation. So now I already mentioned that the contribution needs to be tangible, what we do. That's opposite to the 12th house, which is more in the realm of the imagination and the spirit. And we can help psychologically a lot more in the 12th house, to our compassion, to our care, to the water element. But here with earth, we need to actually get the job done, I believe, and that's very important, so that then something is left behind, something is possible to be used by others after our intervention. And it is, from my perspective, one of the greatest sources of satisfaction if I was able, because I've got so many planets, all my personal planets are in the 6th house. And maybe others will say whether you feel the same and you've discovered the same, but I think that it is a very bad idea if you have a lot of 6th house in your chart, and especially if the sun is there, to for a long time, unless it is unavoidable, to work something that you're not interested in, or to have a job that is just a job and nothing more than a job. That's only a job for the money. And I believe that this can be extremely self-destructive, to the point that it can make us ill. It can disturb the spiritual balance, the psychological balance, the health, or the physical health, and will be detrimental to us. So yeah, these were the main points I wanted to share, and you guys can add more specifics now if you want, and I hope that's a good start. So thanks a lot, and I can stop the share. And we can start our discussion now. What would you say about Virgo yourself? Any thoughts that came out of what I said or anything else?
Yeah, when you were talking about the transition from Leo to Virgo, I was thinking of Leo as a performer, as a musician, for example, and then Virgo is, I don't know the name of this craft in English, but the person who makes instrument. Because you can't play the guitar if there is nobody who actually does the guitar.
Yes.
Creates the instrument.
And this is how the Mercury mind works as a skilled technician of something. Knows how to do something as a process, and as a. It's got a bit of an overlap here with the Gemini dexterity, how Gemini rules the hands and the shoulders, and we need that here with Virgo to put to work, so that the violin is made, or the piano is made, or whatever instrument. The one that we were trying to find the name of in English, I don't know if others can help us with that, the Bulgarian instrument. Yeah. It's called kaval. Guys, you Bulgarians, do you know how is kaval in English?
I'm pretty sure there is no name.
No.
No? Maybe it's got no name, really. It's very similar to, I don't know, to which one. Anyway, I'm getting a bit distracted.
I don't know.
Which one, Sergey?
No, not really. Maybe to a flute, but not really.
It's in the same family, yeah.
Yes. But they are so different, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a wooden flute or something like this. It's shepherds use this when they put the sheep to sleep, so to say. We even have some songs describing this,
There is no reason for having a special name for a traditional instrument that is from your country, not from another one.
It's called caval in English as well.
In French, we said caval for caval.
All right. Well, I didn't know that. I thought that it's such a widely used now instrument that it's probably been, named somehow, so people can know what we're talking about. But it's an ethnic instrument. Very beautiful, by the way. So it's one of those. I mention it because it's one of those that are made by hand. The real ones are handmade. They're not machine made in any way. So it requires a lot of skill. Many different kinds of skills in order to make it right.
And also I would like to just continue the thought of Jean-Marc regarding the transitioning from Leo into Virgo, and Virgo would also be the critic of what Leo has to perform. Yeah, if they're not, because Mercury has many faces, and yeah, sometimes it's not about dexterity and about doing things with the hands, but it's about paying attention to the smallest detail, and yeah, being critical so as to achieve perfection.
Yes.
So I would definitely attribute perfectionism and criticism to the Virgo sign.
Right.
But yeah, maybe the motivation of the sign, because they're very negatively seen very often. But yeah, if we just realize that the motivation of the sign is to bring something to perfection for the sake of perfection, to contribute to the physical world, then maybe it will bring better understanding and acceptance as well.
Yes, I also thought that if we realize the connection with Leo, we can see that there needed to be some sort of reaction to Leo. So that's why there is this urge in the Virgo to make things better, to kind of almost like repair, because another thing I didn't mention was the repair part, which is very connected also to the perfectionism, to the discrimination, to all those things. But it's Virgo very often, I think, feels like something is broken or has this sense of registering where something may be not working to its best performance, and it's trying to put it right. What about things like surgeons and doctors and this sort of repairing of the body? That's so literal, isn't it?
Because the body is a kind of mechanics. Mm-hmm. So seeing the body as a perfectly working mechanism as well, in a way. That's how I understand the Virgo inclination to medicine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, that's this one of the self-healing things with Ceres. So I think if you explore Ceres, it's like to me it's this department of Virgo that rules the health of the body and all the balance of the systems of the body. It's how we can get in tune with them.
And what about the name of the mother of the Christ? In Bulgarian, its name is also Deva. I don't know. I'm not sure how is it in the English language, but in the Latin languages. But in Bulgarian, it's like Deva, and it means someone who is really serving and bringing someone to life who is God.
Yeah, the mother Mary. Yes, she's called Deva Mary in Bulgarian, which is virgin. Deva means virgin, literally. And I think Vesta is, if you go into the mythology of Vesta and all the stories, this is actually her. That's the closest we can go with that. There is this connection with the mother of God in Vesta, but it's metaphorical for, I think, God there, as far as I understood the myth of George, is metaphorical for the God within. So what we are about, but we don't know it. So it's a process of discovery of the inner depths of the personality through Vesta. But Vesta needs to suffer, she needs to wait, she needs to be a recipient, and ready to bear aloneness in the process, so that the new thing can be born and can come, something like that.
Okay, may I ask you something? Is there a connection between this suffering quality of Vesta and the suffering by the fishes, or not?
There must be. The whole axis is, I don't know for sure, maybe somebody else can say, but this whole axis Pisces Virgo is so connected to Christian symbols. So if we want to go deeper into this, we can probably discover so much more, especially if you read Jung. Jung's got a lot of work on the age of Pisces, on the fish age, and goes into detail about the symbology of that. And it's very interesting to juxtapose Virgo with with Pisces. It's the the principles of multiplicity and general then connection. So Virgo and Mercury with Virgo is separating things into small bits and pieces, almost like making a dissection, so that we can see what's the essence, so we can see what's the problem. We are looking for something there, and we're taking things apart. While with Pisces, we are doing the opposite. We are trying to look at the big picture, so we can feel it. But does anybody know about what Valentina was asking exactly? Because I didn't quite answer her question.
I didn't understand the question very well.
Can you say?
I just wanted, may I say something in addition, because for me, like Deva, like Virgo, it's very, very difficult to communicate with my mother, which is actually Pisces, and also other people which are Pisces, and we know it's on the opposite side, yes, like in the whole circle. And it's like a big question for me, how is Virgo communicating with Pisces? So that's why I'm asking if there is a connection between this Vesta's quality and Pisces.
All right. Well, just to ask you, is it that you are Sun in Virgo, but your mom is Sun in Pisces?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So yeah. I mean, you guys can also answer this, but first thing that comes to my mind is that this is often maybe a confrontation, just because. I mean, I don't know the rest of your charts. That needs to be seen in order to have a proper answer. But if just the two suns of two people are opposites, do you have an opposition between your son and your mom's son, or is it just two opposite signs?
I cannot I cannot go so away. I am really not so good in the astrology.
Don't worry. I was thinking if they're exactly one opposite the other, but you can check that later. So
yes,
let's say they are, for example, because there's opposites. Every two opposite signs, I think, have this completely different direction of where what is important for you as your own path, your own destiny. So maybe I don't know what confrontation you have with your mom, but if it's to do with how you would like to live your life, and she's got a different idea about that. If that's the case, then this is the confrontation of suns. But if it's something else, then we need to look elsewhere in your charts to see.
Okay, it was a common question. I don't know if there is a time now to discuss these questions, but yeah, I think it's more like a confrontation between minds and how we look at the things in the world.
All right. Well, you give us a very good thing to discuss, because why not think about contrasts between Pisces and Virgo? What comes to your mind, guys? By the way, this discussion about 6th house, 12th house may be very relevant to you. Take a look. But okay, Pisces and Virgo. What's the deal here? What do you think?
Maybe intuition and the spiritual within a person versus the material and the daily life. So dreaming against manifestation of the material world, like in a way.
So you may be very practical, but your mom can be very outside of reality. So it's kind of distancing herself, daydreaming more, maybe being a bit more optimistic than you are. I don't know.
Or maybe very intuitive and not planning everything to the very single detail and just running for things and doing them because she feels, and not so much thinks through things. Yeah. I have 3 oppositions. Pisces, Virgo. It's it's within myself. I run between all the time. So I feel it. I feel it like this within me.
It's actually very true what Sweti said. My mom is Virgo, and my father is Pisces, and it cannot be more true. It's feelings versus thinking. My father is lives pretty much in a dream world, so far away from reality. He's very, very imaginative and creative. He keeps everyone laughing. And my mom is very methodical in her approach to everything. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3. Everything has to be thought out. Everything has to have a proper process. So yeah, they come from very different they have very different approaches in life, and that oftentimes lead to conflict in the way to go about like day-to-day life. Forget about bigger things, but yeah, it leads to a lot of like they see things very differently.
Yes, they see the world through a different lens. But it's also interesting how similar opposite signs are as well. What do you think is? I mean, you can add other differences as well, but maybe think about also the similarities, how they feed into each other. I just wanted to say hello to Jacqueline and Beryl. Hi, great to have you. We already started, so we can catch up later with the recording. And Shinja, you're also Virgo. Just before you came, we were telling each other what signs, if we have anything going on in Virgo. So that's why I'm mentioning.
Hi, Redlina. Sorry I was late in joining. I had a conflict with another call. But no, I'm not a Virgo. But I did offer my husband's sign. He's a Virgo. I am a Sagittarian. My husband is a Virgo, and he's a very good example of a Virgo. Very interesting. His chart is very interesting in like the way planets are in Virgo, and his traits. So that's why I actually offered his time.
So you were saying that the details you sent me are your husband details and not yours.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I see. Okay, fair enough. But they are in the list for today, so I have.
Wonderful.
Yeah, okay.
Looking forward to it.
You can comment and tell how he is. Okay. Who else?
Well, I'd like to say my son's in Pisces. My daughter's, my sister's son is a Virgo. So we've got the Pisces Virgo. Now, if you come into my house, it looks really tidy, and you open the cupboards and everything falls out. That's Pisces. You go to my sister's house, it always looks untidy, but you open all of her cupboards and they are so meticulous inside. Everything is in order. So I think Pisces is just chaos, out of chaos, and the Virgo is actually the practical bit inside. I don't know how that works.
Oh, that makes me think something that I've never thought before, that maybe the Virgo is putting on this face of orderliness, creates an ordered environment. It looks like it on the outside, but inside is a total chaos. And maybe the chaos...
No, that's the Pisces, that's me. It looks good, but you open the cupboards and you've got to shut the door up again.
Right, so maybe the internal chaos of is pushing it to create the external order, while the other way around we have with Pisces. Pisces looks scattered all over the place, but actually they really know what they want and where they're going, actually.
Yeah. No, I think it's the other way around. The Pisces, it looks okay, but inside it's all over the place. My sister's, it doesn't look so good, but her cupboard shows it's all in order.
Well, for the Pisces to look okay, there must be something else in her chart going on. That's
well, probably. I'd rather go meet heaven.
Pisces are ordering the world around so they can bring some order on the inside. That's my feeling.
Okay, possibly. You are a Pisces, Tveti, but you've got so much Virgo, so we don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah.
I'm so much Virgo. No Pisces within me. So much Virgo.
Is there, I had a question. Is there something in one's chart that kind of shows one's, like, for example, like I am surrounded by Virgos. Like I cannot even tell you, like my mother is a Virgo, my husband is a Virgo, my brother is a Virgo, my grandfather is a Virgo, my best friend is a Virgo. I mean, I cannot run away from Virgos, even if I want to. I am surrounded by them. And I don't know whether you've noticed that, that you are somehow attracted to a particular sign or in life in general, Does that happen quite a lot, or am I just weird?
I would just say one thing. There will be an explanation in your chart about this, but
Oh, really? Wow.
we can say,
Okay.
I can say before seeing it.
Oh, okay.
What do you guys think?
I agree. I'm always attracted to Scorpios all the time. Half my friends are Scorpios, the other half are Aquarius. Only.
Wow.
So you obviously have something to learn from Virgo, if you have so much of them around you, or they are attracting you for something.
Oh, yeah.
What is your rising?
Oh,
Shinja?
I'm a Capricorn.
Capricorn rising. So where is Virgo in your chart? Which house is it? Is
I think it's 7th.
the 7th house?
No.
Oh, that
no,
gives us some explanation.
No, it's not 7th.
Seventh is Cancer.
It's 8th house.
8th
No,
now, yeah.
8th house is Leo. It's actually 9th
house.
Higher learning.
If you've got in Capricorn, where's your sun?
My sun is 11th house Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Oh, because I was just thinking if you keep attracting lots of Virgos, it could be because they're the same element, because that's where you get the same in their element, don't you? When people are of the same element that are attracted.
Oh.
I was wondering if have you got the moon in an earth sign as well as your ascendant?
No, my moon is in fire, Aries.
Oh, right. No.
And what about the nodes?
My node is in Sagittarius.
Yes, that's a great idea.
What about seeing the chart?
Yeah, because you can play at guessing, but
yes, we need to see it as a whole picture, isn't it, in order to.
Yeah, because it can be the ruler of the 7th house conjunct Mercury or things like that. And
Yes.
you can keep guessing for. I find I was thinking in the meantime in the opposition between Pisces and Virgo, for example, is Pisces can be a very artistic sign, and being in very artistic and loving art and especially music, and Virgo ask, what is this useful for? and Pisces jumps off over the cliff in despair because there is no answer to this question. But on the other side, Virgo can be precisely the make the instruments or know the technique and know how to.
Mm-hmm. So, Shinja, this is your husband chart now, isn't it?
Yes.
It's hard for you. All right, we'll see it later, but tell me about yours so we can enter the details.
Sure.
What is, tell me the details quickly.
25 November 1974.
Okay, your time?
9:51 a.m.
And where were you born?
ROH TAK.
Okay, found it.
Yep.
Right, so here we've got the chart. These are current progressions and transits around it, if you spot anything interesting there, but right. And I'm using Compass, so it may be a bit different from what you are used to.
There's nothing in Virgo.
Well, it is possible. I don't know. I haven't calculated it with the other house systems, but it is possible your south node could be in the 6th.
It is by the whole sign.
Is it? Right.
Yeah. And
so I'm more comfortable with Virgo energy, you would say?
Could be, yes, if it is in the 6th.
or they feel more comfortable with me around. That's more like it. I mean, I'm a huge calming influence in all of their lives, the way I see it. I mean, the way they keep telling me.
They keep telling you that. So just want maybe I would connect that to your ascendant mostly.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, Earth. Okay. That's the only prominent Earth I have.
Yeah, I've got a Saturn dominant as well.
Mm-hmm. And Saturn is opposite the ascendant in Capricorn, so it's a kind of a double Capricornian vibe that you have.
Oh.
Also makes a square to the moon, which rules Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
And moon is opposite to Pluto, which is in Virgo sign.
Yes.
No, Pluto is in Libra.
Pluto is in Libra.
No, Pluto's Libra.
Yeah, but the sign is Virgo. I meant, sorry, house.
House.
Sorry, I meant house, 9th house.
The 9th house is not. Yeah.
Maybe
Ninth
also this. Maybe also this full 10th house with Uranus so close to the MC. So you've got this very prominent MC energy, which is connected again back to Capricorn. And yeah, Mercury conjunct Mars in the 10th exactly.
It's exact.
Yes, to the degree. Right.
So you would say I have a very strong Earth energy? Would you say that because of Capricorn ascendant?
And not just because of the Capricorn ascendant, it's also because of the 10th house, the Saturn on the. I wonder whether Saturn in the 7th house can also have this grounding effect to other people.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And also because she only has the ascendant in an earth element, which means that the earth element is the one which is the least represented within the chart generally. We tend to attract people from this element when we meet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's, I thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a compensation going on. You know, Richard Eidemann, that author, that astrologer, The Magic Thread. He's got only 2 books, The Magic Thread and one about synastry, which I forgot. But he's talking about this missing element thing. That how often, if you don't have, say, you don't have Earth apart from your ascendant, you're actually a lot better in Earth than if it was a concentrated one.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It's some sort of compensation going on almost. There are plenty of examples of, say, very good scientists that have no, or writers that have no air in the chart, or you know, artistic people that have no fire. Many, many examples like that exist. But
So
I
you're
think
saying if you're missing that element, you would attract people with that energy.
or you would be actually quite good in the energy.
Oh, that's kind of paradoxical.
Yeah, it can be.
Yes, but
Strange.
I believe this is also one of those examples, this chart, of how important the houses are. I feel like the houses are extremely important in terms of energy balance of elements also. We don't have them in this table of elements, but you see how much you've got 3 planets, extremely prominent planets, because Uranus is so much close to the MC, and this is a very tight conjunction of personal planets. In the 10th, you've got Jupiter in the 2nd, maybe the node is in the 6th. So I think that's a lot of Earth, actually.
I would count the South Node in the 6th because it's so close to the cusp.
Yeah, me too.
And so there is also something that sometimes we always manage to find a way, but sometimes we say when there is a T-square, the resolution of the T-square is in the opposition to the... and Jupiter is square to the nodes in here, and it's a Jupiter in Pisces, which is square the node. So you've got somehow a Jupiter in Pisces problem, which may look for resolution in Virgo.
Yeah.
The Virgo energy is opposing your Jupiter. is likely to oppose your Jupiter.
Yes, so that's 9th degree of, so you're saying, Jean-Marc, 9th degree of Virgo is really the point, isn't it? So it's somewhere here in the chart. And look, Jupiter rules all her planets in Sagittarius.
Yes, so it's a great important point in the chart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, would you like to switch to your husband's chart quickly?
Yeah.
I have a question for Shinja. Shinja, are you a homemaker or working?
I've been working all my life, but currently I'm in between jobs.
Okay, and have you been? The category of your job somehow associated with the management of some kind of enterprise or some specialized branch or sector of an enterprise?
I am in finance and technology, so I make like mobile apps for banks. So fintech.
So basically, specified enterprise would be the word how you would associate with it, I guess. Again, banking is a very specific sector.
Right.
You were making apps for them.
So I'm like a product manager. So I make products like for like technology products, like mobile products. So when you install a banking app, that's a product that I manage.
Basically, I said the word management of some specific sector of an enterprise.
Right.
So that was my point here. Anyway, I got my answer. Thank you very much.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Does my chart say that?
Obviously. Actually, I was working out your profession from your chart, and obviously it's not the tropical chart. I work with sidereal charts.
Okay. So Uranus in 10th, it's actually in my chart. This is my husband's chart, but in my chart, Uranus in 10th is pretty indicative of how my career has been so far. So I have changed many.
I just went halfway analyzing your profession. No, I did not conclude it. But in Vedic system, we are just using 7 planets and 2 shadowy, then 2 nodes. That's all, 9 planets, all in all.
Oh, okay.
We are not using the exterior planets.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I'm not aware of Vedic astrology. No. But I would love to learn.
Now you know.
Yes, now I know. Thank you.
We can do a lot of magic with just 9 planets.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
So the Virgo sun here is very tightly opposed to the natal Jupiter of Chinja.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So your husband's sun is filling out that spot.
Can you please announce? I request you to please announce the birth details, please. I'm not able to. The birth details are very small to read.
Oh, you would like to see the birth details? Well, okay. Is it any better now?
That's better.
Yeah.
It's just I try to make sure we see the whole chart, but yes.
I'm not able to see the birth details. They are kind of, No, they got under the bar.
So it's 4th September 1968.
September 68.
Time is 10:30 a.m. Oh, now you can see it on Radilina's screen.
Yeah, I moved it up a little bit. Right, yeah, well, this is also going to be on the recording, so you can always go back if you forget it, or if you lose it.
City of birth is?
City of birth is Eluru, Eluru.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. So you were saying, Jean-Marc, that Sun is opposing Jupiter, of his Jupiter. Okay. Oh, no, my
No, your
Jupiter.
Jupiter.
His sun, which is conjunct Jupiter,
Yes.
and you are a Sagittarian, so he is a kind of Sagittarian Virgo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's my influence. All right. 23 years.
He was born like that, Sinja. She was
There you
born
go.
like that.
Made for me.
and the connection looks like, yes. Sun.
One thing is very prominent. His north node, 9 degrees, is my moon in Aries, 8 degrees. So it's almost exact.
Yeah.
So as Jean-Marc says, I show him the way.
Yeah, you shine in the way.
I'm the North Star.
So obviously he shines as well with this Mars in Leo.
Oh yeah, plenty. I before I actually knew astrology, I always thought he was. I mean, knew it well. I always thought he was a Leo. He shows up. He comes across as a Leo.
Yeah.
I never knew Mars could be so prominent in a chart, especially because mine is almost overshadowed by Mercury. So it's almost like I don't have a Mars, but his Mars makes up for it, a Leo Mars.
Yeah, and conjunct DMC.
Yes.
That's what makes it stronger. And
yeah, his work is everything to him. I mean, after me, of course.
Is he the one who finally concludes the deals, or finalizes? More into communication and presentation part of the work that he is involved in.
Yes, that's true.
And definitely associated with somebody. I need a little time to be more precise.
Is he a spokesperson?
But definitely beauty is definitely, beauty and presentation is definitely associated. Communication at a very high level is very much associated to public dealing with masses and giving presentation, and finally binding the two, bringing down the two parties, or two different, how do you call that? Two different people together, or two different enterprises together, or he kinds of binds the entire thing together and presents it in a form, and then that would be a very much that would be an intrinsic process of what he does.
Yeah, that's a very big part of what he does.
So what he is into now, my question is.
So he is also in banking. He's in Bank of America.
Okay. So, but what is he specifically doing there?
He creates products for merchant banking. So.
But is his role a bit more public than yours?
Yes, very. You can say that.
And it's a very strong influence of air in the chart, with the moon in Aquarius in the 3rd, with all those planets in Libra. Yes. So Mercury here is a Libran Mercury. It's more of an air Mercury than a. So maybe that's why the Virgo is not that strong as an expression.
Oh yeah. Even though there's a big stellium.
But not that visible as the Leo and Libra, maybe.
Yeah, but he's very much a perfectionist, as you said. Like that's very much there. Like very self-critical, and wants the best in me and others always. So, but yeah, not very nitpicky. I mean, wouldn't go to the extreme of Virgo, I would say.
Okay. I find it very interesting, this Saturn in Aries in the 6th house, which may stimulate this perfectionism a lot.
Yeah, he's extremely self-critical, will always be taking everything to demanding perfection from himself and everyone else. Definitely. I'm very intrigued by the Neptune in first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's got a very public chart, and this Neptune, I think, is adding to the public charisma.
Yeah.
He's very charismatic.
He's very extremely charismatic.
Mm.
Jean-Marc, maybe you can mention that that example you had in one of your articles about Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe has Neptune in the first, and the Neptune in the first can also act in a kind very charisma that goes in the create illusions, because Marilyn Monroe, the real Marilyn Monroe, the person, the woman made of flesh with her own feelings, and was someone very different from the actress and the character known by the whole world. So it's possible to become somehow to carry collective images that the people want to see in you, and so you become somehow
Yeah.
they see what they want to see. It's not necessarily the true you, but there is something where people can relate and say, this person, and
like you become
the subject of projection.
Yeah, because Scorpio rising is a very private person normally, isn't it?
Yeah.
And mysterious looking, and interestingly mysterious looking, this ascendant.
And people think the ideal person within you, Neptune, having the illusion that you are perfect. You are exactly what they want you to be. With Neptune on the ascendant, I have seen it like people are able to project their expectations and their wishes upon the person. And the person usually doesn't know who they are. They are very confused, but everybody sees exactly what they want to see. And everybody knows better.
Yeah, but fortunately there is this Mars in Leo that can...
Yeah, luckily, yes. Leo is also very charismatic, and because usually the first impression that we make in public is by the MC, I think. And then people closer to us, they will be seeing the ascendant and Neptune in there. But Leo.
Yeah, he's very secretive.
I had a friend who was Scorpio Sun and rising with Mercury conjunct the ascendant in Scorpio. So you had and it was very interesting because we were quite close. So he was extremely secretive, but people didn't know it because he was such, if he felt a little bit shy or embarrassed, he talked more. So he could be the only one talking in the entire evening. Then people say he talks too much, and people believed knowing him.
That's very true of him also. In any gathering or party, he's always the one speaking, and everybody's like just here, like listening to him, like almost like a magnet. And he's of course like very outgoing, and even you can say very flirtatious. He's got Mars in Libra, so but he's very outspoken, so you wouldn't know that he's a Scorpio. But even after being married to him like for 23 years, I still there are still days when I discovered some things about him. So he's very secretive, but people wouldn't know that.
But this social sense in him is probably so strong because the South Node is in Libra. I relate to that a lot. His Venus, Mercury, in everything in the 11th. I mean, to me, this chart really shouts as something very socially adjusted person.
Very.
Maybe to an extent that he needs to pull away from that a bit.
Yes, that's true. Sometimes he needs to, but I don't see that need. But I feel that sometimes. But he's really very, very comfortable in a group setting. He misses friends when he doesn't see them. So he misses the social angle more between the two of us. I actually value my privacy and I like my solitude, but he's on the other spectrum.
Well, the chart ruler is right conjunct with midheaven, isn't it?
Not just that, but you see this, guys, you see this Mars, I would say not problem, but Mars related issue in the terms that the North Node is conjunct Chiron, almost like the person is scared of going in the direction of the North Node. The North Node requires separation, knowing yourself and not constantly mixing with people and responding to them, but being at least for a while concentrated on what you want, your authenticity. And then this North Node is pointing back to the Mars in Leo on the MC.
Which you call a 8-degree between the Chiron and the North Node a conjunction?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Why?
Because to me the nodes are so important.
So you give it a large berth of how many degrees do you talk about?
In my work, I have 10 degrees orb to things. Unless I mean, I change things in transits and progressions when I follow transits and progressions. But for aspects in the chart, and the nodes are no exception. I know Astro.com doesn't give us the aspects for the nodes of over by default. If you go by default, over 3-4 degrees, you don't see the aspect. You're not shown the aspect. But to me, this is also it's significant because this Chiron is making this almost exact opposition to the Libra planets. And I see the Libra planets as a group and the Aries planets as a group. So they always are pulled together. That's how I...
So you see a lot of push and pull?
Very much. To me, this is the seesaw chart. The seesaw chart is which is constant. Yeah, I believe he's afraid of himself, of being himself and being natural.
That is true. Yep.
Or maybe
I see that.
Also, in general, when you look at Chiron, North Node, and that's Pars Fortuna when it's like that in there, that symbol. Anyway, I see that in Aries, in the 5th house, as that in this lifetime, that person, it's harder for them to do that, but they must stand out as an alone individual, and they have somehow a wound that they came with or must heal in this lifetime towards their individuality, towards what it is to stick out as an original with your own ideas and pioneer something and create something not from what other people want or need, but from what's inside of you to be brought forward.
Very well said, Lauren. Very well said.
Individuality. And that also speaks to his moon in Aquarius.
Yeah.
One more question for you, Shinja. Has his role in his own enterprise been enhanced since past 1 year?
Yep. Yeah.
Great. And it was definitely with a good...
Exactly 1 year ago.
Yeah. And,
sorry, I missed that. What was it that happened 1 year ago?
He became a senior VP in the Bank of America.
Right.
Can you tell me the month?
Huh?
Can you tell me the month? September?
It was September, yes. His birth month.
Right.
Is that anything to do with Neptune opposite Jupiter or Sun? Or would you like to tell us how you figured that out? Or that's very different from this chart?
Redalina, I'm using a sidereal chart.
Never mind.
And we use planetary directions in that, which is very different concept.
Okay, well, we understand now from you that some big event in the work happened in the self-promotion, or I don't know how to call it. What can we trace it to in the Western chart? Well, the only thing that comes to my mind in first glance is this Neptune opposite the Sun Jupiter.
Radalina, may I interrupt for a second and just tell you that Stephen Abrozik, who normally joins us, he contacted me saying he couldn't find the link. So I forwarded him the link. So he may be trying to join some point. I just interrupt you to say that.
Yeah,
he's trying to get in, but he couldn't find the link, and I don't know if he'll get my email in time.
I don't have his Facebook or anything like this to send him.
I just sent it to him.
Okay.
When I was anyway, so he was trying to get on and he couldn't find the link.
No problem.
I'm sorry to interrupt the meeting, but I thought to tell you.
That's all right. No problem. It's just that sorry, I
sent it. So if he sees my email, I forwarded him the link.
No problem. Yeah, I will see if he tries to come. No problem.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Great.
One more thing, Radilina, very prominent. I want to say he lost his father a month ago. You see, Chiron.
Yes.
Chiron transit Chiron was exactly on his true node, 9 degrees Aries. Yeah. Just on the day it went retrograde, actually. The day, it was July 14th, I think. That's the day he lost his father. So it was very. I actually had a video call with Jean-Marc that day. That's why I remember it so well, talking about it, that Chiron was exactly on the same degree as his north node on that day when he lost his father. Is that a very true aspect you've seen with death of your loved one?
I'm a little bit against trying to even think of, thinking statistically about aspects and relating them to death, for example.
Oh, okay.
Events. I think we can get extremely confused if we try to do that, because imagine you gather 1,000 cases and maybe 70% of them point to something, but then won't. So it's not very reliable, that thing. But what I would say is that when we look retrospectively in the chart, we can always trace what was the trigger. In this case, we can easily see that Chiron was the trigger.
Yeah.
And then my question would be why? Why was Chiron the trigger? Why was the node the sensitive point in his chart? Is it that he needs to work on the node a bit harder than average?
I see.
Mm-hmm. Or something needs to be, if this happens on the node, then it's obviously a big trauma, a big event, and he would be pushed to think about something, to re-examine something. And
I see.
That's activating the nodes. So maybe that just confirms how important the nodes are in his chart and how neglected they may have been.
Okay. I will do some research on North Node in Aries. I don't know much about it.
I can tell you some bits because that's my node.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
I guess you can also tell me a lot about it because it's a learning in process about the nodes. By the way, I found just the other day, I bought from some lady online. She was selling her astrology books, and I bought a Martin Schumann. Do you know Martin Schumann's book, Karmic Astrology? It's a very thin book on the nodes, but it's one of the most interesting short interpretations of the nodes I have ever read.
Oh, really?
Very insightful, very good. Really recommend that book if you can get hold of it.
Did you write that in the chat or say it again or something? The book?
I'm not 100% sure of the name. I better search it here so I can show it to you.
Just say the name again then.
Schumann?
Schumann.
Schul, S-C-H-U-L-M-A.
Oh, Schulman.
It's fine. It's very easy to find online, so you can see it now. Just taking a couple of seconds to load. Yeah. So.
Martin Schulman.
It's that one. Mm-hmm. It's a series of books by this author. I had heard about him before, but I never had anything. So that's the one. Karmic Astrology.
Oh, okay. I get this book.
I
don't know much about nodes.
It's that one. So that's about the nodes. The other one was about retrogrades. So that's a brilliant book. I don't know. It's expensive. I think it's one of the ravagingly expensive books, and I expected it would be something huge, but it's tiny. But now I understand why.
I got that one.
It's quite good.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out.
Mhm. Well, I always recommend Jean Spiller and so on. You know Jean Spiller, but I mean, hers is not as. I mean, it's a bit repetitive. It's good, but to me, it's a bit more basic astrology. Well, this one is easy to understand. You don't need to know astrology, but it's very insightful, very deep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, when I read, I came across one of this book. It was an old book, and there were pages missing, so it was a shame. But when I read about my path, Aquarius to Leo, there were a moment where I was a little bit scared.
Me too.
Because it was describing things, what I was living, and saying, no, I don't want it to be so precise.
Yeah, I can share the same. I can share the same experience. He's quite direct in his, he's talking about, it's a very short text for every node, but he's talking about more how we are self-sabotaging ourselves with the South Node than anything else. He's really hitting the nail on the head of how we are giving ourselves a hard time because of some sort of avoidance of something. So, yeah. That's it.
I missed the context. Why self-sabotaging by the South Node?
Well, usually this is a very long topic, and we can maybe talk about the nodes separately in one time. But my main way of looking at the nodes, very, very briefly, and I think most of Western astrology books are along these lines, is that the South Node is the point of emotional memory of a habit that we had been kind of repeating, let's say, over the course of many incarnations. We accumulated a lot of that, and some of this is either in excess, or it needs to be slightly corrected or balanced, or basically we need to learn about the North Node in order to balance the South Node. The South Node always hides something of a problem in it. It is an innate talent. It is something that we find easy and straightforward to reach out to and start using, but it usually doesn't work for us very well. Not until we learn a little bit about the North Node and try to practice the North Node, not become the North Node and forget about the South, but it's a balancing of the axis. So that's why I was saying this author is talking about how we are in the habit of repeating the negative qualities or the negative expressions of the sign of our South Node, usually, and at the same time not being aware of how much we can benefit from the expression of the North Node qualities, the positive qualities of the North Node sign. So yeah, it's very, very briefly, but it's a lot more than that on the notes. We can argue what exactly they mean and how they need to be interpreted, but
so Redilina, going back to the chart we were looking at, so you would say in Aries true node would kind of be symbolic of like trying to identify what your individual truth is all about, as opposed to a collective, like a social one, right?
Yes, and trying to not constantly adjust yourself to other people and to the social situation, in his case, because it's 11th house, not to constantly be a role that would suit the demands of the moment, but to dare to be in your own. So North Node, I've read that North Node in Aries, and it's very much true for me as well with this node, is that we really don't know ourselves. We're not interested in ourselves enough to examine our own, determined action. So we need to learn to act with determination, choosing what our path should be. Yes, of course, not to the expense of somebody else, but there is this tendency of Libra to do as the partner wants, or to do as the social setting wants, and becomes very adept in that, becomes very good as a mediator, as a facilitator, but very often doesn't know how to deal with being alone and being himself or herself. And he must struggle twice more with this because it's in the 5th house. The fifth house is this spontaneous expression. He may have this inner fear that if he is himself, he's going to not be liked, or he's going to lose face in some way.
Yeah.
That's how I would interpret it.
And that's where the Virgo insecurities also come into play.
Possibly.
Yeah. And I see there the interest is, the North Node in Aries, know what you want and go get it. And if they don't like it, it's your life, it's not theirs.
Yeah.
Something like that. And you've got this Mars, ruler of the North Node, which is so strong and so Leo and so visible, and at the same time square Neptune, which precisely was saying makes you look maybe like people want to see you, but not really you. So it can precisely be someone who actually shines and shines and shines with the power of Mars, but there is still a number of adjustments. Huh?
It is like a reflected light that he shines. It's not a light from the source, from Aries, but it's a reflection. So she shines the reflection.
There is part of that, yes.
I don't know if you already covered this looking at this chart, if we're done with looking at this chart, but I would also, since we're looking at Virgo,
Yes.
with the Sun and the Jupiter there and so forth, part of a yod that goes down to the Pars Fortuna, as well as the yod that goes to the Saturn. And so for me, if I were looking at this chart and helping this individual, I would say that his essential being and that is showing up in his career also it's got to funnel down to both the Saturn in the sixth house of how he organizes his service to the world, and also to his Pars Fortuna in Aries for how he is to make his, how he's going to make his fortune or money or benefits in Aries there. So that it's especially important to look at those finger of God's going to the fifth and the sixth house.
I would also like to add to that he is one of the most hardworking person I have ever seen or known.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have not seen anybody else who works so hard or who loves his work so much. I think that would be a better way to put it. He loves what he does, and he gives more than 100%, to his work. It's almost like a devotion. I don't know what part of chart that is.
Could be the Virgo devotion.
The Virgo,
and on sixth house devotion, you're devoted to work to serve others.
Yes,
So where is Vesta? Where is Vesta in here?
Yes, let's see where Vesta is in here. And I'm going to switch on Vesta and Ceres and take a look at that. Yeah, that would be probably interesting.
Like he's wonderful at everything he does. He's a wonderful cook. He's a wonderful sportsman. I mean, he gives his 100%. And there is definitely that service part. Oh, there it is. It's in
the sixth house we've got.
In Taurus.
In Taurus.
In Taurus.
That would make him a good cook.
Yes. He's one of the best cooks I know too.
And this is in a trine with the Sun, the Vesta.
Yeah, square Mars.
Square Mars, yeah. Not actually, Mars is 18, 19, this is 5, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yes.
Yeah, it's still.
It's square the moon.
It's 5. I was reading 17. Why?
It's square the moon, and so it would mean to me
Well, Vesta may not be very easy to work with. Vesta is very often pointing to a sense of inadequacy and sense of trouble inside. Vesta is actually not like Mars, let's say. Not one of those energies that you can just take and use. It's a bit of a hidden tension inside that needs to find a channel out. So he may be struggling with that, Vesta, actually.
And I was thinking that too, with the square to the moon, that of communication, and then it also would add to not showing who he is as a Scorpion ascendant and keeping secrets and being hidden. That's also, I would say it as a double theme type thing.
Yeah, that is very true. I have to almost extract things like with pliers. Sometimes it's so difficult.
That's what I would say, especially because of the way that's set up.
It's very difficult for him to talk about his feelings, emotions.
I just asked what Vespa or Vesta, is it Vesta? Vesta, what it means in the chart. I don't know.
Okay, well, Vesta is, you can go to this book, so Vesta is one of the 4 main asteroids in astrology. They're not.
Yeah, but I don't know what it actually, how it plays out in a chart.
What does it represent?
Yes, what does it represent?
So it is one of the 4 faces of the feminine. So if we imagine all the facets of a woman, that in her many different roles and many different categories of expression, not just the woman, but the feminine principle in every person, in men and women alike, then Vesta is this restraint principle, one of it. Oh, actually, why don't we see? There are very, very handy keywords here that Dimitra George is giving us. So if you go to Vesta, in the astrological, let's say, so I think we had here, no, hold on, I know where it is. It's more in the beginning.
In her interpretations, various interpretations of Vesta, she always says the focusing principle.
Yes, exactly. So that thing, so here there is a little table with all of them. Vesta starts from here. So I think this is very handy, and she goes in more detail about that in the book. But the feminine function is the self-renewal and regeneration, inner union with self. So it's like this self-discovery that we are making through, if we think of it through Virgo, it's how Virgo is this point of personal crisis where we need to work on something hard and suffer in order to discover who we are and what we're about. It's like a preparation for relationships in Libra. It's preparing the self to be a separate self.
But why is this suffering? Why this notion of suffering?
It's the loneliness that she's talking about here. It's mostly suffering. Vesta is mostly suffering from loneliness and from separation. That's why it's the Virgin Goddess. And here we've got things like commitment to a cause. That's, I think, very important.
It does say they're workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it goes well,
And his one is in the 6th house, which ties in even more with the symbol.
Commitment to a cause, that would describe it.
Okay,
I'll devotional paths as well. So with this Jupiter conjunct the Sun, he's almost like devoted to his work, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Work is God.
Lives and breathes and worships. And you said Ceres too. What did you say? I'm sorry, Redilina.
Let's see Ceres. Ceres is in his 12th house. So it's kind of conditioning the ascendant. So it's just before the ascendant in Scorpio. And Ceres is this self-nourishment principle, giving to yourself food, emotional food, real food. It's the mother principle.
He's very attached to his mother. Extremely.
But that one, I think, in the Virgo archetype is the health. Yeah, everything we know about Virgo and health.
Was Vesta attached to the Athena? Is that what I saw? What was the for Athena?
No, okay, let's leave Athena and Juno apart because they are more connected to other archetypes like Libra.
Okay, I just thought at some point I had seen it. Oh, there.
Because
so it's not We're not talking about Vesta has to do with this whole seminar is supposed to be on Virgo. So Vesta is the most like Virgo, right?
Well, Dimitra George is claiming that Vesta can be a ruler of Virgo, and also Ceres has one face of it, which is a ruler of Virgo. Actually, though all of these four feminine goddesses, they are very connected to the signs Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. So it's like the zone of relationship, the one that's before the actual one that starts the relationships, and then Scorpio, which is the drama of relationships, let's say. So Vesta has a face, a scorpionic face. Ceres has a Cancer face and a Taurus face as well, I think it was. But Pallas is very typical Libra, very, very much to do with Libra. Juno is also between Libra and Scorpio. Yeah, it's very interesting to explore that.
So Ceres, you would say, is more like nurturing.
Yes.
And I would totally describe him like that. He's extremely nurturing. He's the more nurturing one in the relationship.
So do you think he has taken up the role of Ceres being on his assistant?
Absolutely, yeah.
And is he also participating? Do you have children? If you want to say
no.
So he's not
kids.
having any experiences with taking care of. What about animals? Pets?
He has always wanted it, but well, no, we haven't had any pets yet.
Well, may I suggest that this may be a good idea with this Chiron now transiting his Chiron and the nodes, and then it's going into the 6th house soon. So this may be a helping thing. You know, pets are also in the category of the 6th house. That's why.
Oh, really? Small pets? Yes.
Small
yes,
pets.
That's true. Mm-hmm. So you think that's a good idea?
Possibly.
It'll give something to nurture?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am quite handful.
Okay.
I don't think he needs the distraction, but I'm just joking.
Don't be.
But I hear you. He has a lot of love to give.
So there will be enough love for you and for the pets.
Oh, absolutely.
No problem about that.
Yeah, but with Ceres on one side and Neptune on the other side, there is something very, very sweet, definitely.
Yes.
Where is Ceres in this chart? I'm sorry, I missed it.
It's that one.
Oh, okay, got it. 12th.
You know, it looks like how is it called? The scythe, the thing that
like a sickle. Yeah.
Yes, but it's not the sickle of Saturn that kills. It's the one that reaps the harvest. That kind.
Yes. Like a Virgo with the wheat of like
yes,
with the wheat.
It's
very interesting too that he has moon in 3rd and I have moon in 3rd.
Are we losing our topic by going so deep into just this chart?
Well, I was just going to say that I actually think it's a good idea because, you know, I know you want to cover many things, but don't we see how this chart is such a good example of what I think of the topic, first of all. And I wanted to leave it to you to go even deeper because you see how much we can discover the essence of what's going on if we allow ourselves to go deeper. If we go just very quickly through the charts, we can speculate about what, say, this Venus in the 6th is doing, or what this Sun in Virgo is doing. But that's going to be very, very, how can I say, scratching the surface kind of thing. Anyway, yeah, I hear you, Lauren. It's time to switch to something else. Thanks for reminding me. But yeah, I actually deliberately wanted to explore that Virgo. It's a Virgo stellium, isn't it? And series and so on. So
thank you so much for all of your comments. It was really helpful.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Okay. Shall I tell you which ones I've got in the list so we can pick up another one?
Yeah.
Do you have an opposition Virgo Pisces somewhere?
I haven't looked at them very much, but we can spot something when we I've got several 8 charts here. So I will open it on the big screen after that, but let's choose it first. So what does this have? Let's see about somebody that's here. If we have somebody that's here, these guys not. Yelena has moon in Virgo, ascendant in Virgo. That's a very good example, I think. No 6th house. Then we've got, no, none of these guys are here. Unfortunately. So that one was a very good, I think, example of many things in Virgo, but we don't have
Yeah.
the so.
What if you have, like me, nothing in Virgo? What impact does that have on a chart?
Anybody that has nothing on in Virgo?
I don't think I have a thing in Virgo.
Me too. I don't have anything in Virgo.
Are you completely useless at doing anything with your hands?
No, she isn't. Okay, Lauren,
I'm joking.
Yeah, I'm a piano player, harp player, dulcimer player, guitar player. Did you say with my hands?
Yeah.
She's got a very.
No, I make music with my hands.
Don't be fooled, guys. She's got such a strong 6th house south node there as well. So these talents are coming from before, Lauren.
I think if we are discussing that there are no planets in Virgo, to understand that, I believe we need to delve further into the zodiac sign Virgo, the elements of the Virgo, and the equation of the earthy sign. That is very important here. How it is placed in the natural primordial chart, which is the 6th house, and so I believe we were previously discussing. Sorry, I'm taking you back to the earlier conversation about Virgo, and I think Radilina brought that up. What is the role of Pisces being in opposition to this zodiac sign Virgo? So I have my own point of view. Shall I put it, Radilina, or do you want to take this conversation to the next chart?
Go ahead. Just be short. Don't be very long. But otherwise, yes, of course. Of course. In the meantime, while you speak, I'm going to enter a few more charts so we can play with them later.
All right. So the basic, the universe, how it is behaving. I mean, there are two things. One is the elemental force, and another is the natural order of the universe. The elements in the nature want themselves to be stabilized, but the order of the universe is always and always destabilizing them. So if you look at any element in the nature, it wants to stabilize, it wants to be comfortable. Even we human beings as elemental forces, we want to stabilize ourselves. But the universe all around is all chaos. So the Virgo has an opposition Pisces. So these are two contrasts which are balancing each other out. So obviously there is chaos, and obviously there is balance. So now the balance is that the Pisces sign is an earthy sign, and the Virgo sign is an earthy sign, and the Pisces sign is a watery sign. And as we know, lack of water in land creates famine. But if there is excess of water, it will always create a swarm, and we don't want either of them. We want a very simplistic balance between them. And what is the planet ruling the sign Virgo is Mercury, which is associated with intellect, and the planet ruling the sign Pisces is Jupiter, which represents your wisdom. So there shall be a very fine balance between the wisdom and intellect then only one can achieve a higher self. And that is from the 6th house, where in Virgo, Mercury gets its sign of exaltation. So basically, Mercury is getting exalted in Virgo itself. That is of great importance here. So that is the intellect at its highest, or at its purest or finest. So that becomes very important. But on the contrary, in the sign of Pisces, we have the exaltation of Venus. And we all know what all Venus plays a role in the life. So Venus is the height of enjoyment, the height of pleasure, and that too getting exalted in the sign of Pisces. But again, if there is disbalance, if there is excess of pleasure and enjoyment, it would result into activation of the Virgo sign, which again is associated with the earthy problems. It will heighten the earthy problems, which is the elemental forces in the body creating troubles. Because I'll bring it down very short because I have too much of data here. So if you look at the primordial chart, we have 3 earthy signs. That is Taurus, the first one. The second one is Virgo, and the third one is Capricorn. So Taurus is basically the sacrifice. The basically in layman terms, it is the earth which is consumed. But from Virgo, it is the earth which is cultivated, which needs cultivation, which needs effort, which needs new direction and implementation. So it needs a lot of cultivation. And the Capricorn in itself, it represents collated form of everything. That is how it is getting matured, because the first sign, because Mercury rules the Virgo sign, and Mercury also rules the Gemini sign. The Gemini sign represents childly attributes. That would be okay. Just getting back. So basically, Gemini represents the childly attributes of the Mercurian personality, or the Mercury personality. But in Virgo, what is happening is that it has already passed the Leo sign. It is associated with, backed up by the Leo sign, which has a lot of fire there to cook the earth, the earthy sign of Virgo. And eventually, now after getting cooked, it wants to mature and take flight in the next sign, that is the airy sign of Libra. And that is where it wants to attach itself to materialism. So basically, when this cooking of earthy sign associated with the fiery sign in the previous zodiac, Leo, it is maturing that Mercurian property. That is the reason Mercury is getting exalted in this sign, not in Gemini. And eventually taking flight from the Leo, that is where the materialism enters, the part of materialism starts to play in life. And that is where it gets its discriminatory properties. So, somewhat of that.
Thank you, Gaurav. You reminded me of something. You mentioned it that I forgot, of this very sensitive balance that these 2 signs are creating. They are the 2 signs that are in constant tension. So that's why they carry in themselves the constant tension, because they are the ones before switching to, over the descendant, or from the 12th house to the new ascendant. So that, I think that was a very important point you made about this very, how is it called? Sensitive equilibrium that these 2 signs are constantly trying to maintain, which is very difficult between them. And maybe very easy to go to excess on one side or the other, more than in other couples of signs.
So what
I always try. Thank you, Regina. I always try to, keep my mind to the finer details. That is, I believe, what is the purpose here.
Yes, you have a Virgo signature in your personality coming from somewhere.
Well, I have multiple facets.
I feel like if we make about 100 meetings like this, we will probably pile up your chart at the end, and we'll figure it out.
So I still didn't get. I must be not understanding. My question had to do with where my chart is still up there. The question was, what do you say when there's Virgo and there's no planets and there's nothing there in that? I mean, I get it that you can refer back to the 6th house because that's a Virgo house. But what about not having any planets in Virgo? Does anyone have a comment about that? Or an observation?
You can always
obviously you can. Sorry,
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Tsveti, I think Tsveti was first, if I'm correct.
When we don't have a planet in a certain sign, I would always look at the ruler and the aspects of the sign. Because you don't have Virgo, but you have Mercury in the chart. And it's in Pisces, which is the opposing sign of Virgo. So because we are looking at this as an axis, balancing out the signs balancing out each other. So having a Pisces Mercury could be giving you some of Virgo's qualities as well, because it's the opposite sign. So
yes, Jean-Marc had said something about, shall we talk about the opposition, I think, of Virgo and Mercury.
Yeah. Of Virgo and Pisces.
And Pisces, I'm sorry. I had missed what you had said.
Yeah.
I too don't have any planets in Virgo, and the way I always saw it in my chart was that maybe in the house that Virgo is kind of on, maybe that house will have the characteristics or the area of my life that house represents. Like, for example, here it's 7th house. So your 7th house will kind of seek Virgo tendencies, or your relationships will kind of be wearing Virgoian properties. I mean, that's the way I always saw it. Just because planets are not there doesn't mean it doesn't have effect. It'll probably affect that area that your 7th house in your life represents.
Well, I wouldn't say that you could say I've been a virgin.
I like the opposition. The signs are axis, so they talk about the same thing but opposite attitudes. So, for example, Pisces could be the sign of Pisces is the return to source. It's the most in its best. At its best, Pisces is in ecstasy and contemplates and sees the beauty of the spirit and mystical ecstasy, or getting entranced by beautiful music, and the soul goes up and there is full of compassion. And for example, Pisces, they can go to the same place because Pisces, full of compassion and full of divine inspiration, wants to go and help those who suffer.
Yep.
And then those to help those who suffer, you've got to come back to earth, and you've got to know the difference between your pills, the red pill and the blue pill and the green pill, because if you mix up the pills, you are going to kill them. and that's not the purpose. So you've got to come back to basic skills, and when you are on the ground, and when you are, if Pisces and the compassion and the love universal brings you to volunteer and help, for example, and go do some kind of, I'm looking for the word, let's say you become a doctor, and then you are performing operation on the ground, so you can't cry as you're doing it. You've got to be dry and precise, because otherwise you're not going to do a good job. So ideally, the two should be balanced, because it's Pisces takes you on the side of the heart and the emotions and the feelings, and Virgo is the sign who serves that. And that's why Vesta is devotion, and devotion is usually a keyword for Pisces, but it's on the axis. And you say, I am a musician and so on. Personally, I don't want to confuse too much the houses and the signs, because it's controversial, but still you've got the moon and south node in the 6th. So Mercury being the natural ruler of your south node, it's a strong Mercury. And if you have skills with your hands and you are a musician, you do it for music, which is a Pisces thing.
And expressing this Mercury, the tools that she sees, the intuition that she has, the way it's only the way she's actually manifesting this on the material level. It's through the opposite sign, through playing the piano, for example, which is mercurial thing as well.
Yeah, it's I live a very detailed. I have had to have a very detailed orientation to be the kind of musician I decided to be. It's a very precise thing. But then I access, of course, the mystical aspect, but then it has to be grounded to very detailed, very precise rhythms or, study. So yeah, okay. I just thought I would like somebody to talk about and I think Gaurav was going to say something also about the missing house. Is nothing in that house? Gaurav, were you going to say?
Yes, I was. Although John brought me back to the balancing act of the Pisces and the Virgo. So as we know that Virgo is also associated with the illness, and the Pisces sign is also associated with hospitalization. I'm not sure if that's the same with the tropical charts, but yes, we are considering it for hospitalization. So if there is no balance of staying fit, because when you are trying to evolve as a fit person, then you're trying to cure yourself, because cure is also coming out from the Virgo sign itself, because herbs get associated with this sign well, because it is associated with corn, which is coming out of the earth, being an earthy sign. So anything which is coming out from the earth, as in cure, so that becomes very important. That plays an important part. But if there is disbalance as in that's we're going to go into a lot of detail. So if there is disbalance, then definitely the opposite sign, then the cosmic chaos of the universe starts working, which is the sign Pisces, and eventually bringing you down to hospitalization to get yourself cured from that illness. And yes, coming back to the question which Lauren asked, that if there is no planet aspecting if there is no planet in the sign Virgo, and Messi gave a very good answer to that, but I'll further that answer with one more thing, that check in your chart Saturn and Mars. If your Saturn and Mars are well disposed in your chart, you will also see a very positive Virgo functioning there. But if they are not disposed of well in the chart, then definitely there will be disbalance and there will be troubles associated with the sign Virgo. Now there is deep analogy to it, why Saturn and Mars. We can go into that then, but it will take us to a different realm of discussion.
Can I also ask
that's a proven fact.
Sorry?
So
that's a proven fact. Check your Saturn and Mars. If it is good, it is well disposed, your Virgo is positively activated. But if they are not functioning, if they are not well disposed, they are afflicted in the chart itself, then definitely your Virgo will not be functioning very well as well.
Okay. Just finally, before we switch to another one, I wanted to show you how Uranus in Lauren's chart Well, you see this Uranus on the cusp of the sixth. I consider every cusp to be like a magnetic point, not just the angles. Well, let's say a little bit less of a case of magnetism, but still it's very, very strong point. And that's with Mercury, these are the only water planets in the chart. These are the only two. So Mercury rules the house in which Uranus is at the cusp. And then obviously all those other things going on in the sixth. I'm a little bit prejudiced because I've got a huge sixth house and nothing in Virgo in my chart. So I may ask the same question as you did. But I feel like the Virgo is so obvious and so present that in what you have to do in your life, the kinds of activities you need to get involved in, that you can't escape from it if you've got a full sixth house. It's part of your experience, but it's not part of your style necessarily. So if you don't have a sign Virgo represented in the planet, then that's just not part of your style very much. That's how I look at it.
Well, I
don't have a Virgo style.
You definitely don't. You definitely don't.
Well,
I definitely don't.
As Lauren has a very strong Virgo here that we are discussing, definitely her Virgo is strong. If you look at the chart, we have Saturn, which is exalted in Libra, and we have Mars in opposition to its own sign, Scorpio. Now, the power of Scorpio in itself is well associated with occultism, with astrology and mystic sciences, and even the Virgo associated with the 8th house. You know, obviously, it's again, we are seeing the same picture back again.
But Gaurav, did I miss when you said, if you said it, why exactly Saturn and Mars are the ones you're looking at in terms of Virgo?
Well, that is again a very long concept in itself. As I said, we're going to open a new chapter in itself.
All right, so it's a hidden connection between Mars, Saturn, and Virgo. We have to remember.
And I just want to say that I have been, knock on wood, the healthiest person all my life. So I was curious, if you don't have any planets in Virgo, if it means that you're going to have a very, very healthy life. But anyway.
No,
I would attribute that to Mars-Venus conjunction in the second house in Taurus. That's what I attributed it to.
And it could be all kinds of things. But I thought, please go forward. I just wanted that understanding. What does that mean?
Okay,
I read somewhere once that planets in a house, they kind of represent the work you have to do in this life. And if there are no planets in a house, it essentially says that you don't have to focus on that area of your life. That area of your life will most probably be resolved in this lifetime. So your energies can be diverted to the other areas of your life which need some work. So that's one way of looking at it.
That's, I think, what I was thinking.
And you have no Scorpio either, so you will never die.
No, I will never die. I think that's the truth anyway.
Immortal.
So how about us Scorpios, John Mark? We are still alive. And we have
Yeah.
You won't die either.
Yeah, maybe.
We might kill somebody, that's the difference. Okay, I've got another one for you. I know I promised to Yelena as well, but Valentina, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Perfect. I calculated your chart just now, so I believe that's a very, very interesting Virgo accumulation of things. Let me just find you. Here you are. Okay. Hope you all can see it well.
Right. All right. So Virgo rising.
Exact new moon chart.
29 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Exact.
It looks like an eclipse. The nodes are very close.
Yeah.
29. Oh, yes. Confused.
Is there a conjunction between sun and moon?
Absolute
Yes.
conjunction.
And
Yes.
it's a very important one because it's on the 29th degree.
Yeah.
So this is something that, you need. The Virgo sign, it's like she needs to let go, to integrate all the qualities and to somehow let go and follow the next sign.
And born on a new moon, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And Mars is very close, well, 10 degrees actually. The node is also quite close. And they're all in the first house. So that's extremely important. So you are Virgo ascendant. This is a triple Virgo chart.
Yeah, yeah.
How rare is that?
Yeah. Oula.
So you should be the epitome of Virgo. Or not?
I'm sorry?
You should be like the perfect example of Virgo. Of what Virgo is about.
Okay, because of the sun and moon, you mean?
Not only ascendant as well, your
Yes.
initial expression there, you've got Mars there.
There's a square to Ceres.
I was asking me, what about the Vesta in, how is the name in English for this sign here? Vesta in
Cancer?
Cancer.
Cancer, yes.
No. Is that it?
Well,
Because until today, I always thought that only Pluto is in a water sign. Because I have no much water in my card.
Right.
Or it's almost Earth. Almost only Earth.
yeah, Pluto is a singleton. It's I would still count it. Singleton means the only one from from an element or from.
Would I?
Yeah.
Esther.
Would I be intruding to ask what is your profession or what has your occupation been?
So I'm actually a Waldorf teacher. I don't know if you know something about alternative pedagogy.
Oh yes, I know Waldorf. I was a teacher too. Yeah, I'm a teacher.
Great. But you are more musician than me. I'm only playing a record. So now I'm working for Hewlett Packard with computers and servers, and I make only for the money now. And before that, I was always working voluntary. Actually, it was almost my whole conscious life. Yes.
Do you work in Sofia? Sorry to ask you, but I have something in mind. I will text you separately.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just somebody very close to me is a Waldorf teacher as well in Sofia, and maybe you guys work together or something. We'll find out.
We could speak. Yes, it would be great.
I wanted to ask you, Radalina, if we're looking at the new moon, since she was born on the new moon lunation cycle, and the 29, if you were looking it up and it's 29 like this, would you stay with 29 or would you go to, you would go to 30 degrees, right?
30 degrees,
So we would look up. I'm curious. I've got the book. I'm going to look it up.
Why don't we check that? That's interesting because is it called anaretic degree or how is it called, the 29th degree? The last degree. It's supposed to be special. So I don't know which website, but I just randomly opened that one. As it's pretty simple here.
It says Virgo 30 degrees. Totally. Is it okay if I read it?
Which one are you reading?
This is from that book.
Yeah, that's better. Go for it.
Totally intent upon completing an immediate task, a man is deaf to any allurement. the total concentration required for reaching any spiritual goal. This is the final symbol of the first half of the cycle. In the year cycle, the fall equinox is now at hand. Autumn begins. So this is a culminating step. The decision results from a myriad of small choices. Still a shadow of hesitation can remain. Attention may be distracted from the now by a voice from the past, glamorizing some old memory. The outer doors of perception and thought must be closed so the soul can complete its conquest of illusion. So I think that's an interesting thing, since she has such a strong, it's in her first house, it's the new moon, that it's about completing a task and shutting out the rest.
So great concentration required on that task, isn't it?
Yes.
So maybe, Valentina, maybe you don't know about the Sapien symbols if you're not very much into it yet. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
So it's a new topic for me. The new.
Does it relate? Does this have any meaning to you? Is what I think is important to in any information. Does this have? How does this relate to you? This information. Do you have a good focus? Are you able to cut out all distractions?
So actually, I have an illness with my, how is it to say, Radilina, help me with the English one word for thyroid. I think it's a thyroid.
Thyroid gland, the thyroid gland.
Yes. And it's also very difficult for me to concentrate because of this illness. But that are things from the life, I think. But when I make something during my day, I'm really concentrated, and I don't want to make 3 or 4 things at once.
Do you have any problems with the speech or the way you speak?
Yes, I'm actually very often don't saying some things. It's like it's stopping at the mouth.
Yeah.
But I think it's coming from my childhood and the non-possibility to talk in my family, because my parents are very hard people, and I'm working now on these things. I work out with biopsychology and so on.
The person who asked that question, what did you see in the chart that made you ask that?
Lauren, I was looking at 3rd house, Pluto.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Valentina,
your picture didn't come up there, you.
Oh, I've actually been trying to start my video for like 2 hours now, but I'm getting no traction.
No worries.
Last time. Maybe you remember Shinja from last time. She was on video at the time.
I just can't seem to start my video for some reason today.
No problem.
No problem. I just wanted to know why you said that.
Yeah, because I deal with the same problem. I have afflicted moon in my 3rd, and I also had speech problems in my childhood. And I've noticed that in others' charts too. So if you see 3rd house, she has Pluto.
What do you guys think? Yeah, that could be the Pluto. I think we discussed this Pluto in the 3rd with Jean-Marc in your own chart, didn't we?
Yes.
Point. You have that position. But I was thinking when you asked the question about Mercury opposite Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the 8th house, and you mentioned something about your family not being listening, maybe, or I don't know whether it means listening or understanding what you want to say. Do you think that Mercury opposite Jupiter could have something to do with it? And also Mercury is very, very agitated by Uranus, exact sextile to Uranus, 0 degrees.
Yeah.
Valentina, I have a question. Was there any special event regarding your career since the month of April?
This April, you mean?
Yes, this year April. Since this year April, have you seen any? I mean, were there any special results in regards to your career?
Not actually, not because I'm working for HP and computers, as I said, almost 9 months, and it is very different from my way in my life. It's like something not
Are you
connected with the career.
Or are you planning something new within a couple of months, within this year itself?
No, actually not.
All right, that's all.
But you can write to me if you, of course, you can write to me. What do you mean, actually?
No, I got the information I wanted. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you also.
Third house.
I talked about the Mars and Saturn, Redilina. If you look at the Mars and Saturn in a chart, you can see that the Virgo is not functioning well, and even in this case, the Mars and Saturn are not so very comfortable.
Yes, there are so many squares with the Virgo planets to the Sagittarius planets.
Yeah.
So you can associate this with the thing earlier I mentioned about Saturn and Mars. The Saturn and Mars are not functioning well, or they are not well disposed in a chart. Then the energy of Virgo definitely gets upset.
Interesting.
And you can relate this with this chart.
Yeah.
I mean, you can apply this over n number of charts, you will get this result.
So you think that this may have a connection to her health problem with the thyroid gland? I mean, basically the square between Mars and Saturn could result in the, right.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell her also, I've had 2 best friends who had thyroid issues. Of course, we can talk about Virgo and having health things that you work on in this life. I'd be remiss not to mention the name Anthony Williams. He was able to solve through food both of my friends' thyroid problems just through a change of food diet. And I know diet and food is very Virgo, and maybe it's wrong to suggest a remedy, but I'd feel terrible if I didn't give you this name of this person, Anthony Williams, who wrote books about how to heal your thyroid. And
Thank you, Lauren.
Both of my friends completely healed from it. It was amazing. And they had so much trouble motivating themselves and having energy. They just wanted to stay in bed when this affliction came. So this man is a clairvoyant, and dedicated his life to helping people from a child. He could see these health issues.
Yes, I know him. I know him. I have read the book, actually.
Okay, sorry, Ben. I just thought I wanted to get it out.
What I would like to ask is, because this is an interesting case because it's a new moon. You were born at a new moon, but if you look closer, the moon is half a degree before the sun. So technically, you're still a balsamic moon.
Yes.
And that's a case where I'm not sure whether it's a new moon or balsamic moon, but I would have a tendency to think it's a balsamic moon.
Okay.
Which means that somehow, if you are a new moon type, there is something Aries in you. Then Rudyard compared with the energy of, there is the feeling and things you've got to move forward, and so you don't know where you go, but it's within you to go somewhere and have this energy Aries like. When the balsamic moon is an end of cycle where you are somehow more like someone who carries seeds for the future and who lives to pass something, pass your own wisdom, your own understanding, your own, as if you are maybe a bit ahead of your time and having something to give for the future, but that you may not harvest yourself. And I would be curious if you could, because we look at the Sabian symbol for this degree, but if you are a balsamic moon, your new moon before birth is almost 1 month before, and maybe the Sabian symbol would be also very interesting.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Maybe Lauren, you can check that for us. You have the book.
Could you give it to me what that would be then? Mark,
Yes,
can I look it up?
It's not always the same degree. Sometimes it's one off. So let's check it properly before you do that. But that's the prenatal new moon we're looking for. And that's really the cycle under which you were born. If Jean-Marc is actually right, you are not right in the beginning of the new cycle. You're right at the end of the old one. So it's actually a big difference between the two. So the new moon before birth is 0 degrees.
And yeah, you've got a 0 degree. So really you encompass the whole Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
Is there so I'll look up 1 degree Virgo.
The number one, the first.
Okay, I'll look it up just now.
And while you do that, I also wanted to point out that Ceres, which mostly rules things like problems with diet, any sort of dietary problems, and I think maybe this problem is also part of that group, is exactly square your new moon. So the sun and the moon, pretty much exactly.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So Ceres may be a big key to what we are looking for.
Her and also her Chiron is exactly square to her sun.
The Chiron is
I know. Yeah, I noticed that. So here's number 1, Virgo, and it says, in a portrait, the significant features of a man's head are artistically emphasized. The keynote is the capacity to picture to oneself clearly the salient features and the overall meaning of any life situation. And it's it says actional.
Very Aries-like sounds.
Let's see if. Now we have in the seasonal cycle of the year to the sign Virgo, the symbol of harvesting, but also that of the path of discipleship and of all strongly determined processes of training or retraining.
Training and retraining are
discrimination, also, of course, it has the keyword discrimination as the first stage of a 30, the 5-fold sequence of symbol and the keyword discrimination. I don't know if that helps, but.
Yeah, going back to the chart, we can see that happened in the 12th house just before the ascendant. So that prenatal new moon was just before the natal ascendant, so it was still in the 12th house. But isn't it interesting how it's the 2 end degrees of the sign, the very first and the very last? That's extremely interesting.
Since Lauren was talking about healing from control of diets, or consulting a dietitian or something like that. I also mentioned earlier that Virgo is an earthy sign associated with the herbs, healing herbs that are associated with the sign Virgo, which comes from the ground. And even this also means associated with the earth also means going to ancient therapies, not the modern ones. Going to ancient therapies there is a high probability of getting cured, and because the Virgo sign is again associated with the illness and lack of illness. Where will the lack of illness come from? It will come from your own fitness. And there are 2 things which can give you fitness. In our Vedic texts, in our Vedas, it is mentioned by the way of ahar and vihar. Ahar is what you eat, and vihar is by nurturing your body properly in a right order, in a right way. So these two things and ancient medicine will definitely, I mean, I believe that it can definitely help her. I'm just following in the direction which just Lauren mentioned.
Good. I think that's important. And I have this book also just, which is Mark Edmund Jones' book for the symbols, because I don't quite get what it said. And this helps me. Sometimes when I don't get it, it says a man's head. This is the symbol of full maturity in human estate, with an emphasis on the personal integrity, which represents in general what all men are asked to be in particular. The ideals of an inner life are given their outer manifestation through some self-accepted responsibility on which others can count. The key word is character. So I don't know, that helps me a little bit with
simply, again, see, ahar and vihar is, if somebody who is very structured in the way of what he eats, what he consumes, and he treats his body as a temple, is definitely binding his mind in a very well associated way, which eventually will be the root foundation of a good character because of the earthy sign Virgo.
That makes sense to me. But it's Valentina who has to make sense of it, not me.
We wouldn't be able to figure out an answer or something, but there were so many pointers, I think, for this chart.
Yes.
And this was a good example. So much oh my gosh.
It's such a mesmerizing chart.
Her personage is the epitome of Virgo looking at this. I have to say.
An epitome of Virgo.
Yeah.
What does it mean, Lauren?
Well, I would say that your life has I'm jumping in. You ask a question, other people could answer. But anyway, to me, it would mean when you have your sun, your moon, your Mars, and, in Virgo there, and your ascendant, it just means that you have to be detailed. You have to be focused on your health. You have to have that level of accuracy and detail, and your manifestation. All of that is very Virgoing with a Virgo quality of. I think of Virgo as body. Your body. You have to take care of all the details. How you eat. How you exercise, how you breathe, how you feel, how what is important to you, and making the actions with your Mars there, making the actions that are in alignment with this level of detailed discipline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Me too.
With this analysis. It reminds me that the first house is often associated with the physical body, not necessarily the appearance of the physical body, but it can be the physical body. So I was noticing that if you have the South Node in Libra and on the cusp of the second house, it makes Venus twice the ruler of your South Node, and Venus is conjunct the South Node and square Neptune, and it's also a case of Neptune square the nodes.
Mm-hmm. But also the North Node points back to the first house. And
the North Node, Aries, brings us back into the first house, and so Mars is, know what you want and go get it, or what you need to do and do it. And there is this difficulty precisely of the square between Mars and Saturn. So, which may mean that actually it's a kind of a struggle. It's you have to win, to do what Lauren said, to be discriminated and take proper care of yourself, because it's possible that your Mars, you want to do something when Saturn says that you should do something else, and there can be a difficulty with
Yes.
And finally, maybe in the line of what Jean-Marc said, maybe you would get help from other people to do that. It's like suggestions, because the North Node is in the 7th house on the cusp of the 8th. So maybe other influences just stirring you in a direction, but then you take it from there and you do all those things that they were talking about.
Yes.
Oh, Rodilina, is that true? Because I always thought that my North Node is actually in the 8th house, and now I see it.
Okay, well, even if it's in the 8th, I think along the same lines, because to me, both the 7th and the 8th are to do with mixing up with others, and even in the 8th, it's getting more serious, because you need to blend in with others in order to get that influence.
Yes, share values.
Well, according to the sidereal chart, it focuses on very much the similar tracks of what John and Rodelina has said. So, but we have different placements and different shifting of a few planets here and there. So it focuses more on the initial part, the family, the concerns around your own family, the immediate family and the associated family, the finance, the childhood, the educational system. All these have played very important role. The health, the vision, the mouth, the speech, and definitely the need of proper guidance if they to control or to balance all this out. What is more important is the proper guidance. And in your life previously, whenever there was right approach, either by yourself or by some advice, then things will definitely play the right role for themselves. But otherwise, there is always, everything is revolving around. Everything is revolving around all these things in your life: the family, the speech, the food, the nourishment, the finance, the materialistic aspects of life, and everything associated with all that. The memories of childhood, your initial childhood, and everything associated with that. All these are having very crucial foreplays in your life.
Right. Guys,
anything specific in regards to your vision?
Yeah, go on if you have a few more words to finish your sentence. Sorry to interrupt you.
I asked Valentina.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat your question?
Valentina, anything specific in regards to your vision?
To my vision, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, I'm not so happy with my body actually, because it's not so, how to say, woman's body. Because, how to say, I have no, I don't know.
Is that
I don't know the word in English.
Tell me in Bulgarian. I'll translate for them.
Гърди, bust.
So not a very big breast, basically.
No, I was asking
not
about
a very
vision,
big, but no.
eyesights.
Or if she's telling you how she sees things.
Yeah, that's your impression. Right. It's not necessarily the truth. Yeah.
No, but he was asking physically for your eyes. Are you having any difficulty seeing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Not because just of my glasses, but I have, how to say, кривогледство, Родилина.
Well, that's a word I don't know, but it's one of those distorted visions where you don't see straight, but I don't know the word.
Astigmatism.
Maybe that's it.
Also, I'm not focusing. Mm-hmm. I'm not focusing actually, because my left eye is going to the side.
Okay,
Yeah, so whatever Gaurav picked up, because he has his special ways, he could see, he was able to see that afflicted in the chart, right? Would you say that, Gaurav?
Yes, of course. I mean, I already mentioned, now Valentina is the one who has to confirm it.
Yes, she did just now.
Yes, yes.
So there you have it.
Yes.
Okay. You guys can continue talking about that between yourselves. I mean, maybe you can, go for more clarification of the magic behind what he's talking about.
There is no magic. It is just the way Vedic astrology has its own concept and way it is approached, the sidereal chart and everything. Because in sidereal chart we have Mercury, Venus, the south node, Sun, Moon all together in the second house.
Okay.
It's a very different chart.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but it will be fair if we either switch to something else now, because we've been so dragging our feet.
Sure.
It's of course now. So because we are on the third hour, I wanted to ask you, do you want to stay for another maybe 20 minutes or something to look at a couple more, or do you want to go now? Are you tired? Some of us can stay, others can go if they want, and also decide what we're doing next week before we move on.
I think I would like to decide what we are discussing next week.
Okay.
Yes, me too.
Any suggestions about that?
How about nodes? It was very interesting what you mentioned about that.
It came naturally, didn't it, Shinja? We have been postponing this topic for a while.
Oh.
But yeah, I think it's in the... I vote for it as well. Any other suggestions?
The only other suggestion would be that since I've missed the beginning, but you said you only had one more to do of archetypes, so we could do the Libra archetype and complete that if we wanted to wait. I'm more interested in the nodes, but I also am interested in the Libra archetype.
We can Libra at some point. I'm not going to leave it out, but it doesn't need to be exactly in that order. I suggest, if you want, it may be a good idea, because you see how coincidentally we had Leo when we had the Sun in Leo. Now we have Virgo with the Sun in Virgo. Why don't we wait a couple of weeks and have Libra when we have the Sun in Libra?
I like that. That's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's very nice.
And we're not far away from it anyway. So
I would like to ask Valentina, how do you feel now?
After discussing my card, you mean?
Right now, at this very second, how do you feel?
Actually, I'm very I'm very open and very interested in knowing the new things discussed here. And maybe I'm a little bit tired because of a long day, but
But you feel uplifted, right? Or, I think it's important to check in after we talk about someone's chart. We don't want to punch them in the face.
Exactly.
Is that what we did? I'm sorry if we did that. It's just,
No, I had two thoughts about the way we go, because it depends. But for Valentina, I had a feeling she's quite sensitive. And there are two things. The first, when I read a chart, I see the chart, I see plenty of things like we have done together. But then I stop, I take time to breathe, I come back, and the lights come progressively. So it can be a bit confusing if you want to understand straight away, immediately what's going on. And there is a proverb as well who says, too many captains sink the ship. And when there are too many voices speaking at the same time over the same chart, it can be both very friendly, but I wanted to check if it was not overwhelming for you.
That's very perceptive, Jean-Marc.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Jean-Marc, thank you very much. It's not overload. It was not too much for me.
Okay, that's great.
Radharina?
Yes, this is the risk of having these things in this format. Sometimes things can get very intense. So that's why I ask in the form if you guys are happy to volunteer your chart, because anything can happen. You may get disappointed that we only looked at it very shortly, or that we never looked at it, or maybe we went too much into it.
There is a herd of nerds.
So I warn you, there is always the risk that things are not going to go as planned. So yeah, if you want to volunteer, think twice.
Yes, because it's not it's not a paid reading. It's just we're using it all as a way to have a discussion where we all upgrade our astrological knowledge.
Yes.
And to analyze what we know and to learn from each other.
Exactly.
And so that's why I'm here.
And
I want to know.
Possibly help the native, of the child.
Yes, and that would be great. But I also am like Jean-Marc. Of course, I would care for the reception of our input.
Yeah.
But good that you feel still just tired from the day, but not depressed from the comments made about the chart.
I just wanted to mention when I do the recording, when the recording is prepared, I will post it as a Facebook post, and then you guys can comment underneath it, continue the discussion, share what you thought, because now we're a lot of people today, and sometimes it's very difficult to squeeze things into 3 hours. So if you feel like something got missed out, or you wanted to give some feedback, not just to me, but to anybody else that mentioned something, do it underneath there. I think that's a good place for it.
So what time did you actually start?
Well, I base it on Madrid time because I'm usually living in Spain, in Valencia. That's why all the discussions have this Madrid time on them. So it's Spain time, 5:30 in the afternoon. If you are in London or somewhere in this time zone, it's 4:30, and for the Bulgarians, it's 6:30. So you just need to convert it into your own time zone to work it out.
Yeah. But I still found it very difficult because you had GMT plus 2, GMT plus 1 on some of the things. That's why we were late coming in. We only came in to check. We thought it was going to start at 6:30.
Oh, okay. I don't know where you are, but is it not GMT plus 1 should be 1 hour after Greenwich Meridian time, which is London time? So
yes.
GMT plus 1 is the Madrid time. That's why it says it this way.
Plus 2.
But your email said GMT plus 2.
Really? Which email?
Yeah.
You mean for the Zoom call?
Oh, one of them, the one that you said the other day. And then another one said GMT plus 1, which is why we didn't really know what time it started.
So I must have...
It's all right. So the time you state is actually Madrid time.
Yes.
And we can work it out from there then. We'll just look from that. Sorry.
Yeah, 5:30 time every time. We never changed the time. It's always been 5:30 Madrid time. But I'm very sorry. Maybe I made a mistake when I was setting up the meeting for this in the Zoom. So I must have pressed the wrong button or something.
I suppose that's because you've come to London.
Yes.
And Zoom
is automatically. Yeah. I'm sorry. I move a lot these days.
No, don't worry. As long as we know if we know it's Madrid time, we can work it out. Just this is the first time we've dropped in.
It's good you asked. Good you asked. It causes confusion.
I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. See you next week. I have some readings for clients I have to do today. So I will thank everybody. And it's a wonderful thing that we participate in.
Bye, Lauren.
Thank you, Radharina. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Radlina, I wish I knew you earlier. I was in Cordoba a couple of years ago. I would have loved to meet up.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Well, I invite you all to come and visit Valencia at some point. But I will show you around.
Oh, I loved my trip. I would love to be there again. Yeah.
it's never too late to come back. I mean, not in this situation at the moment, but anytime in the future. So,
hope so.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining. I wanted to show Yelena's chart. Yelena, sorry, it just wasn't time, but maybe next time.
So what's the next week's topic? Sorry.
It's the lunar nodes.
All the nodes?
Did we not decide on the nodes for next week?
Awesome.
Any more votes for something else? Do you want to vote?
No.
I vote for nodes.
Oh, no, all the nodes or some specific nodes?
No, the nodes in general, the meaning of the nodal axis in general, because we won't have time to go through all of them. But we can choose examples of several couples of nodes. And I also use the chance to invite you to my next webinar, which is on the nodes as well, on Saturday, the 5th. But that's more the current nodes. So concentrating on the current ones in Sagittarius and Gemini. So that's more mundane astrology and then not really my field, my usual field. But if you find it interesting, you're welcome.
Good. Thank you.
It's on the website in the same place as this one. So, okay. Thank you so much one more time, everyone.
Thank you.
I hope it wasn't too overwhelming today.
It was a great session.
Yeah.
Thank you. You all participated in so many good ideas.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.